Hello everyone. Today we're gonna be talking about the tier list in Pokemon Unite. Now I'm gonna be ranking each Pokemon based on their damage, their crowd control, or their utility, and also the role that they are classified as, and the best for solo queue. So all of these will pretty much incorporate what the champion holds, and we're going to be classifying them as S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and of course the unreleased, which will pertain to Gardevoir and Blastoise. With that being said, let's start here. Let's talk about the attacker role first, because everybody wants to play AD carry or damage carry in Pokemon Unite in solo queue, right? But there are some that are just extremely better than others, which is pretty unfair, but we'll be going over which is which. So, we're going to be talking about Cinderace first, because obviously he is S tier right now. I think a lot of players in high elo usually just play Cinderace because of how strong he scales, and they play him in the jungle as well, which means he scales a lot faster. So he's like almost a perfectly designed Pokemon to play in solo queue just because of his carry potential, and his damage is pretty much the highest in the game, I would say. He does have some weaknesses, but his damage pretty much just outshine the rest of the attackers as well. And then next, we're going to be talking about Pikachu. Pikachu, I think, falls a little bit below Cinderace. I'm going to put him in A tier. So with Pikachu, he's more like an AP carry for those who played MOBA games before. Most of the time, he just does a lot of, spell damage, right? His auto attacks doesn't really offer too much compared to Cinderace, and his scaling isn't all that great, but he does offer a lot of crowd control and a lot of AoE abilities, so he performs sort of like a mage in a sense. But he is extremely good in lane. His early game is strong, his mid game is strong, and his late game can provide a lot of utility and chip damage. So definitely great for solo queue as well. And plus he's much easier to play than Cinderace. Then we're going to be talking about Pikachu's little buddy, Ninetales. I think Ninetales deserves to be in the A tier as well. Not quite close to the S tier because carrying a game on Ninetales rarely happens. Ninetales is more of a crowd control support that provides a lot of, utility. But her damage is, or its damage is not as strong as Pikachu and also not as strong as Cinderace. But because of the capability of crowd control that Ninetales offers, definitely deserves to be in the A spot. So I think any team that has a Ninetales will pretty much make team fights a lot more favorable. So if you enjoy playing more of a control mage playstyle, Ninetales is definitely the way to go. Then we're gonna be talking about, of course, Cramorant. Cramorant is a little bit tricky. I see some people play him well, but even then, throughout the game, this Pokemon is very immobile. Sure, he does a lot of tick damage and whatnot, but I don't think he's that easy to play, and he's kind of just very niche. If you want crowd control, just go for Ninetales. If you want damage or you want poke, just go for Pikachu. So Cramorant just gets outshined by the capability of these two, essentially. Then we're gonna be talking about Greninja next. Greninja actually shot up in the tier list quite recently, just because people have found, a proper way to play him. He's more of a disruptor in teamfight. I don't think he provides too much damage. He does provide a lot of just disruption in teamfight, right, with his smoke screen and his poke. But I don't think a Greninja will be able to solo carry a game or even team fights. He's good for solo queue if you like just going around and just messing with people. I think Greninja is great for that. But in terms of carry potential, he's definitely not as strong as the others. Then we have Venusaur. The Venusaur. Wow, every time I see someone pick Venusaur on my team, I just think we're gonna have a rough time. Venusaur doesn't really do too much in terms of damage. He doesn't have too much in terms of crowd control. He doesn't have too much mobility. He just gets outshined by every single attacker in the game. And I would go out to say that he is indefinitely the worst attacker in the game. just because he doesn't really provide anything you would need that others can't do better than him, right? So I'm gonna put him as a C tier. He's still playable as an attacker. He's good in lane because he does have a lot of poke, but once you get out of lane and then comes towards team fighting, this Pokemon has a lot of trouble like doing damage without a good team backing him up. Oh. That will be all for the attackers. Next, let's talk about the Speedsters. Speedsters usually go in the jungle, if not all of them go in the jungle just because they're classified as Speedsters, so they're really good at ganking and clearing camps and just being extremely mobile around the map. So, first things first, Zeraora. Obviously, is an S tier at the moment because he just has such a fast clear, his abilities are great for gap close, for chase, for an escape. He's just all over the map and nobody can really duel him because of how much lifesteal he gets back from his basic attack and whatnot. So right now, I think he just outshines a lot of the other Speedsters in the jungle because of how strong he is individually and in team fights. He has so much AoE and he's very strong early, mid, and late game. So at no point in the game he is weak, and it's hard to pretty much punish him whenever there's a Zeraora on the map. That being said, let's talk about the next Speedster, Absol. Absol, I'll put him in A tier. Absol is a perfect champion for solo queue because he is extremely mobile and he has many dashes in his kit. It's really hard to catch him. Once he gets on top of your goal, he scores. You pretty much just have to let him run away because you cannot chase this Pokemon. His clear is actually faster than Zeraora by a little bit, but the thing about Absol is that sure, he is really strong, but Absol does not play well in the late game without having, getting crowd control or getting shielded. Essentially, if you don't one-shot with Absol, you don't do much in team fights, and you're just all in most of the time. Even though he does have a lot of outplay capability, it's just he's not easy to play, and he's very just self-oriented. He's not good for the team. He's just running around the map and doing his own thing, essentially. Alright, next we have, oh boy, this Pokemon, Gengar, definitely deserves an A tier. I've been meaning to main Gengar, or not even main him, just play him as my secondary in the jungle, just because of how strong he is in this solo queue. Of course, in a 5v5 situation, people can counter you with crowd control like a Slover, or even with Eldegoss Shield, prevents you from getting the kills. But once you hit a Sludge Bomb into a Hex combo, wow, nobody can kill you in a 1v1 situation. You can even clutch a 1v5 situation. So this Pokemon is definitely designed for solo queue. And even in a 5-man, I think he's extremely strong as well. Definitely great for a pickup if you enjoy just assassinating and just spamming buttons, essentially. Like, really, really strong for solo queue. Next, we're gonna be talking about our last Speedster, which is Talonflame. Now, Talonflame, he does have a lot of invulnerability. His damage is decent, his engage is good, but his escape isn't all that great. He's mostly just going in and doing the damage. And the thing about Talonflame is his damage isn't that high compared to other Speedsters. Like, you have Absol just one-shotting with all the crits, and you have Gengar with permanent spammable ability that just continuously do damage, and then you have Talonflame that just, chunk you here and there, and then just be annoying and try to fly away. So he's okay, I would say. Like, if you enjoy playing Talonflame, sure, play him. But in terms of the capability of what he can do compared to others Speedsters, I don't think he can pretty much outshine any of them in their respective, capability. Attack, just ability spam, and sustain. He doesn't really have any of those. Next, we're gonna be talking about the all-rounders or the bruisers. First things first, let's talk about Lucario. Lucario deserves to be in the A tier. From what I can see in solo queue, a lot of players, Lucario is very strong, but the thing about Lucario is once it gets towards like level 14, level 15, he actually doesn't do enough damage to one-shot anybody on the enemy team. Like, you can't even one-shot the carries. You would have to, you know, blow all your abilities and barely maybe be able to kill them. But even then, if any of them has shields or whatnot, then you don't do anything. But that being said, Lucario's capability and his usefulness happens in the early game to mid game because of how strong he is in lane, that he can just one-shot the mob. So he's really good at just stealing the early lane camps. And in the mid game, he's really good at roaming, but he scales off, so you gotta have to play him at a really high tempo, otherwise he just doesn't do as much in the late game. But that being said, he's a great Pokemon for solo queue, so I put him in the A tier for now. Then we have Machamp. Machamp is hovering between A and B. I think I'll put him closer to the A tier for now, because I think a lot of players who are playing Machamp know what they're doing, and in a 1v1 situation, Machamp just destroys you. You cannot trade damage against this Pokemon. And in team fights, he does fall off a little bit unless he gets like a really clutch ult, where he just ulties like a bunch of people. But his damage does fall off quite a bit in the late game, where people can just tank your damage with an Eldegoss shield or just any sort of healing or sustain. But his early game is strong, his mid game is excellent. Probably his strongest point is his mid game because of the fact that he can just go in, get his damage down, and just pop everyone while being tanky. So, right now he's A tier. Maybe once you know, people learn how to lane against him or whatnot, he might drop. But that's pretty much it. Let's go next to Garchomp. Garchomp, I put him in the B tier just because how strong his ultimate is. Him as a Garchomp as a Pokemon isn't all that strong compared to Lucario and Champ. Like, the things that he can do, these two can do much better than him. But just because of that, his ultimate is actually on the stronger side, where he gets like super armor and he just dish out way too much damage. You cannot 1v1 a Garchomp in the in a 1v1 situation when he pops his ult. Essentially, you just have to run. You just have to run. So Garchomp, I'll put him at a B tier right now just because he lacks a lot what you would expect from a bruiser, and the other two just does things a lot better than him. Plus, you have to get the evolution for him to be strong, and Gibble early just... let's just be real, man. Gibble early is pitiful. If you can get through that, maybe once you evolve into Garchomp, you'll be able to do something, but even then, I would just put him as a B tier. Then we have Charizard. Charizard, I have to put him as a C tier right now. I know there are some Charizard one-tricks out there who just only plays Charizard, and yeah, they know what they're doing, but even then, Charizard's damage is lacking by quite a bit. He can do a full rotation on his combo, and you don't even get the kill on anybody just because you're Charizard. You don't have the damage. Although he is quite annoying in the aspect that his ulti gives him flight, so he can move around quite frequently and just dish out damage and be annoying, but that's pretty much it. He just doesn't provide enough damage, and his lane isn't all that great either. So, I'm gonna put him as a C tier right now because I don't see a lot of Charizard making any impact in the game. So that's all for the defenders. I mean, the all-rounder. We're gonna move on to the defender now. So for the defender, obviously, first things first, we have Snorlax. Oh my god, Snorlax. Snorlax has so many great abilities that it just automatically put him in an S tier because he has no bad abilities at all. He has Sleep, he has Block, he has Heavy Slam, and any combination of those are just great on this unit. Plus, he's pretty much the best defender in the game due to the fact that he can heal a lot, and you cannot capture a goal when he's there because he will just Heavy Slam you and then use his block to push you away. His block is really broken, and I think it needs a nerf for sure because of how long it can pretty much CC you. So when he pushes you with the block, you actually cannot move or use any abilities, and you cannot jump over the block as well. So if he pins you under a wall, you will be stuck there for about 5 seconds plus. and you cannot do anything but being stuck there. Literally, you're just AFK for 5 seconds. So that's... Snorlax is just too strong. Way too strong to not played. Alright. Next, let's talk about Slowbro. So Slowbro falls a little bit under Snorlax. I don't know if I should put Slowbro as an A tier or S tier, but I mean, or B tier. A tier or B tier. I think I'll put him at the B tier right now, just because even though Slowbro does provide a lot of crowd control, you're never gonna expect any damage coming out from Slowbro because one of his crowd control ability doesn't do damage. Sure, his Surf is great, but only at the later stage in the game where you can get 3 knockups. But so in the earlier game, his crowd control is very lackluster, and him as a tank pretty much is a punching bag. If you have a Cinderace on top of a Slowbro in a 1v1 situation, then the Slowbro would just bleed out and never be able to do anything, even to a squishy champion like Cinderace. So I put him as a B tier for now, just because he does provide a lot of crowd control, but the lack of damage really just kills this Pokemon. So he's more of a team oriented. Alright, next let's talk about Crusto. Crusto, I put him as a B tier right now. It takes a lot to play Crusto correctly. He's not really easy Pokemon to play. I see a lot of Crustos, they have like annoyance factor to it with the walls and the X-Scissor and the pushback, whatever. But the thing about Crusto is, sure, you can do all of that, it's just that it's hard to describe, but I would say that Crusto is more lacking damage and lacking tank at the same time, right? So I'm just gonna put him as a B tier right now. Snorlax does everything better than Crusto in terms of crowd controls. Slowbro does more than Crusto. So Crusto is more damage, but he lacks tankiness and crowd control compared to the other two. And as a tank, having damage is not a good thing. Okay, as a tank, being beefy and crowd control is more important. So there's no reason to play Crusto for damage. You can literally just play anything else for damage, like Machamp or Lucario, you know, and they're pretty bulky too. Alright, then let's move on to the support. Oh boy, here we go. First things first is Eldegoss. Eldegoss, oh my goodness. If there's an Eldegoss on the enemy team and you do not have an Eldegoss, expect a lot of your plays to just fail, okay? Eldegoss enables so much capability around the team fight and lane. She can prevent you from getting dove. She can help you dive people because of how much heal she provides. And during Zapdos fight, she can literally just perma-sustain and poke at the same time, and it's hard to kill this Pokemon because a lot of the item that Eldegoss uses has HP on it, so she's deceptively tanky. If you try to kill Eldegoss, even in a 1v1 situation, you will realize that she's way too tanky, even for a support. So she pretty much just plays the support role perfectly due to everything she has in her kit, and her itemization is also perfect for her in terms of just the tankiness. So having an Eldegoss on the team pretty much increase your win rate by quite a bit. Must have. It is a must have on every single team. Next, let's talk about Mr. Mime. Mime. Okay, I'll put him as a... it's either a B tier or C tier, in between. From my experience, I will put him as a B tier, because I've actually seen some like decent or even some Mr. Mime who played really well. I think he requires a lot of items to make work, because you can literally run a full special attack, 3 special attack items on him, and his early game, his little barrier or his wall will chunk you for about 40-50% of your health every single cast, and it's AoE. So in the early game, a lot of your plays can fail if the Mr. Mime is pay to win and he has like level 30 items. So yeah, that's one niche situation to play Mr. Mime. Other than that, his mid game is decent just because he's still doing a little bit of damage. But when it comes to the late game, he becomes really lackluster because his damage just falls off, he doesn't scale, and his utility also falls off because his abilities aren't that great in a late game situation. Then we have Wigglytuff. I'll put Wigglytuff as a C tier because I've not seen a Wigglytuff do anything in the game ever. He's just a walking ball that, sure, he'll put you to sleep sometime, but that's about it. So in terms of just, you know, utility, tankiness, whatever she does as a support is not great compared to, you know, Eldegoss that heals and shields and also has burst damage. So she's pretty much just outclassing a lot of aspects, and who knows, maybe someday someone will know how to play the Wigglytuff correctly and she'll shoot up in the tier list. So I think that's pretty much all for the tier list. I don't put any Pokemon at the D tier just because I think D tier doesn't really matter too much compared to C tier, right? If you're the worst in your role, then I don't recommend you play these Pokemon either way. Although they do have some niche, like if you one-trick them, obviously you're going to be performing a lot better than someone who just picked them up or played them only a couple games. So they still have potential, it's just that their potential requires so much knowledge and work to play around that you can literally play all of these other ones that are higher tier and it doesn't require too much maintenance, essentially. Then we have the unreleased, which is these three. I personally have not tried any of them, so I can't really rate any of them. But once they come out, maybe I'll make another tier list and see how it goes. So that's pretty much it. If you want to play solo queue, I suggest you pick up the A tier or the S tier. Every role has a S tier. Cinderace is for attacker, Zeraora for speedster, defender is Snorlax, and support is Eldegoss. So if you know, are a jungler, then there's no reason not to play Zeraora. Obviously, you can pick Gengar or Absol as well if you're more damage oriented, but Zero is more team focused and objective focused. So just choose between the A tier and the S tier. The B tier is very niche. Sure, you can be like a good ninja one trick or a Talonflame one trick and you perform, but let's be real, there's no reason to play them besides the fact that you really like them, right? Because like I said, higher tier Pokemon just does more with less maintenance costs. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with the list, and enjoy solo queue, guys. This game has been great. I've been playing it a lot, and I'm gonna be making more guides on different Pokemon as well. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.